They got rid of stop and frisks when de Blasio was mayor of New York. And, it was a completely unconstitutional policing tactic. And now it appears they basically brought it back under a new name. The NYPD has stopped tens of thousands of pedestrians since Mayor Eric Adams took office. And by the way, Mayor Eric Adams is black. That doesn't matter at all. He's an ex-cop, and he abides by every belief and idea and sick sociopathic behavior method that you can picture any NYPD officer abiding by. So the fact that he's black does not matter at all. He is putting forward the exact fucking white owner society laws and regulations that you would get from a white ex-NYPD officer. But Mayor Adams took office claiming someone fit a relevant description. This is why they're stopping tens of thousands. Fit a relevant description. Well, that's an interesting way of phrasing it. What are the usual relevant descriptions that the NYPD runs around with? Well, it's usually black guy did something. That's what they like to run around with. And, if we wanted, I like to talk about the levels of reality. If you want to get a little deeper in there, you could talk about the fact that still most crime is committed by white people. But as people who love to say racist shit will say, oh, yeah, but per capita, it's actually more crime committed by black people per capita. And that is true in a certain regard. In fact, I just saw a video of a right-winger saying this the other day and people cheering him on and being like, yeah, per capita, black people do things. Yeah. But here's the thing. First of all, you have to take into account that where are all the cops? Where do they position most cops in most cities? They position them in the urban areas, the poorer areas, the black areas of town. And then what do the cops notice? Oh, they happen to notice more black people. Isn't that funny? When you stand all the cops in the middle of the black community, they notice things with the black community. Okay, so does that mean no crime goes on in the white community? Fucking no, that is not what it means. It means you stood all the cops in the black area of town. So that's part of it. Another part of it is there are studies showing how people behave when they are poorer. And again, it's not racist we could look at the numbers to say that black people in America are on average poorer. But when you live in systemic racism, it's a lot harder to not be poor when you're fighting against massive levels of racism. And the reference, I just always use this reference just because it's an easy one to throw out there to give you an example. In studies showing when a white person and a black person apply for the same job and the employer has not even seen them and race is not on the form. So it doesn't just say I'm a black guy. Race is not on the form, but then they sent in for the study, they sent in the exact same CV, resume, whatever you want to call it, exact same one. The only thing they changed was the person's name. People with black sounding names are 50% less likely to just get the first job interview. Just their foot in the door, 50% less likely. So it's like you cannot overstate how difficult it is to succeed within systemic racism. That all aside. So that's why part of many reasons that statistically speaking, the poorer areas of town are also tend to be more black and brown people. Okay, so poorer people, according to studies, also tend to make worse decisions. Why? Because you become desperate. If you fucking, I'd love to see any one of you. If you take away your food, let's see how long you behave by every letter of the law. Let's see how long till you steal an apple. You take away all your food. I'm just saying, you tend to make certain decisions based on poverty, but also it just shows that when people are desperate, they make sometimes poorer decisions, not just stealing an apple, which is, if you're starving, is a great decision. I'd say that's the best decision you can make. Stealing an apple. But then here's the final note, which I almost never hear people make this point. So Let's the right winger the other day that I saw the video of. Let's assume everything he says is true. Yes, per capita, black people commit more crime, or at least arrested for more crime. Let's assume let's ignore the fact that cops are just placed in the black community and they're not placed in the white community or whiter areas of town, so they're not going to see as much white crime, etc. Let's ignore all of that. I never hear people mention this, that it also depends on your definition of crime. When people are having this discussion as to who commits more crime, are they talking about white collar crime? Are they talking about the fucking businesses raping and pillaging the landscape? Are they talking about the companies that knock down all our forests and leave us dying here? Are they talking about the opioid epidemic? Are they even talking about things that, yes, technically on the books are crimes, such as doing cocaine? But if you're a Wall Street trader and you're doing coke in a bathroom, what are the odds you get caught for that? Fucking near zero. And then, of course, there's differences in drug laws. You can be locked up more for certain ones. But all of this is to say people don't take into account the definition of crime. When they say commit more crime, they're picturing just street crime, stuff that goes down on a sidewalk. They're ignoring breathtaking amounts of corporate crime. How about the number one crime in America in terms of average theft is wage theft? Making people work, and then you have a way, whether it's through computer glitches or it's in other ways, of stealing their wages from them. Is that not theft? It absolutely is. In fact, it's done, and it's theft done by corporations. McDonald's, I think, was caught for a massive one several years back, massive amount of wage theft. And most of those companies are owned by white people. So does that not count as white crime? Does that count as a huge amount of white crime? But see, all of that's left out. When we say commit more crime, quote unquote, we're talking about most people are just acting like all crime is street crime. All crime is something that happens on a sidewalk. And we just ignore the trillions stolen by Wall Street. So Adams, a former cop, to go back to this Gothamist article, a former cop who ran on a message of public safety, said during his 2021 campaign that stop and frisk could be a useful policing tool if applied properly. See, so he takes something that has been proven inefficient, has been proven to be constitutionally essentially illegal, has been proven to not actually succeed at what it's intended to do. And he says, yeah, I like that idea. That thing we did that was complete, utter racist bullshit. I like that. I like how that's working. Cops are stopping dramatically fewer people than they did in the Bloomberg years. Just 1%, so this is good news, just 1% of people stopped during stop and frisk's height in 2011 are now detained. So that's a little confusing. They're saying, because not everybody who stopped in stop and frisk was detained. So they're saying 1% of those who used to be stopped at its peak are now detained. What would be a more interesting comparison would be how many are stopped now versus stopped then. Anyway, after the 2013 federal court ruling that found the practice discriminated against New Yorkers of color. What? No. But police stops under Adams, which are at their highest point since 2015, are trending upward. So I just wanted to bring to your attention, and as I mentioned at the beginning, only 5% of those being grabbed up are white. So, you know, this is a racist horror show, and this is the type of thing that Fox News endorses on a daily basis, right? Anytime you turn on Fox News, they'll tell you how, crime's running rampant and we have to give police more money. And also they've been defunded, except they haven't. But also they've been defunded and we got to give them more money and we got to have more cops and they need to arrest more people and lock them up in a country that has the most prisoners in the fucking world. Our police and prison system is fucking insane. And you have people calling for more. You know, statistically, if we keep going the way we're going, we'll have everyone locked up by the year 2030. Every single person. And then who are they going to arrest? I mean,